Hi everybody, before you watch this video, make sure that you watch Father Abe's video first. If you haven't watched his video, hit the pause button, go back to our page, watch his video first, and then come back to ours.
Hi, Vic Weekly, and I'm here with G Lobes. G, what's going on today? Awesome.
I was practicing my silence.
Oh, look at that. Week by week, getting better.
That's
How
right.
you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. What's your day like today, huh? Anything
Well,
exciting?
it's been never-ending Zoom meetings, so it's been just long Zoom meetings, a lot of planning, things like that. What about you?
Honestly, the same. We just spent the whole morning together on a Zoom call, so
That's right.
just hours.
Going straight to lunch, zoomed out.
Literally. Gee, can you tell us, what are you doing? How are you using this quarantine time?
Yeah.
What are you teaching people to do?
What am I teaching people to do?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm teaching anybody to do anything. I know what I'm teaching myself. So I know that I was talking to Father Abe about this yesterday. I started doing yoga. So my Zen and my Chi are I'm just very calm right now.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah. What are you doing? What do you?
I'm spending.
I mean,
spending time with the sun.
you were gonna answer your question before I even asked it. So, Vicky, what have you been doing during quarantine?
Well, right now that I'm home in Miami, I have just been trying to be outside as much as possible because I'm actually in Miami right now.
Oh, where? One more time?
In Miami.
Oh, okay. Because you haven't said it enough. I was curious if you could share
Oh,
once or twice.
got it. What did you think of this week's video?
Yeah, I think Father Abe's video was one of the better ones in terms of instructional videos. I am somebody who loves Lectio Divina. I think what I talked about last week about silence and structure, I think that Lectio gives me enough silence and structure where I can have freedom to pray in a certain way, but also for me to focus on scripture. So I love how he broke it down, and I love some of the tips that he gave as well. I even liked the personal prayer that he added throughout it, which was really nice. There's something to me that's just really difficult about, I don't know, certain Bibles.
Yeah.
I bought the first ever Catholic Journal Bible. And I see people online literally coloring their Bible in,
I don't know.
and there's just something about it. It's I don't really want to write on it, so.
Yeah. I have a question for you, actually. So I really love that Father reminds us of the perspective, language, and experience. Why do you think that's so important to understand before going into Lectio?
For the language, perspective, and experience, I think it's important to understand that with language, even in the English language, things that are translated from Latin to Greek, or I forget if it was Greek to Latin, and then to Italian, and then to to Spanish, or whatever the translation history could be, is that things are always going to be taken out of context. So it's really important for us to understand what the original text was trying to say, what the original author was trying to say. I think that prevents us from putting our own interpretation on there. I think for me, as somebody who studies theology, I think that puts a lot of pressure on yourself to this is what I think, and that's a lot of pressure for you to interpret something that you could really easily interpret wrong. So understanding, all right, there might be some words. Father Abe is also somebody who says this a lot. When Christos Vive came out, the English version and the Spanish version, there are words that just emphasize different things. It's not that they don't line up. There are words that emphasize importance one way, and then the English word doesn't put a lot of emphasis on another. When I was in Turin for the general chapter, that seemed to be the biggest struggle that we as a group had. So we had people from Africa, from Asia, I was the only one from the United States, from North America, and then we had a ton from South America. The language that the English document used didn't capture the emotion that the Spanish speakers, the Latin speakers wanted to make sure was present in the document, and then those that were from Europe, you know, so it was really complicated in that sense to find like a level playing field or common ground. So I think that's important for us to understand that, okay, there could be some inconsistencies with language, and for us to do our research to find out what the original author really intended to. And I think that's where Father Abe goes to the footnotes, to commentaries, you know, doing our research there.
Mm-hmm.
I think from our perspective, I think, again, there's always this tension when someone is sharing a story. So when I'm reading scripture, somebody's telling me a story. Somebody's telling me what happened when they were experiencing it. And I think there's this tension of saying, well, this is how I experience it today. And I think we humbly need to put ourselves in their position and go, okay, this is where they're experiencing it. This is their perspective of what's going on in their reality right now. And I think what supports it is the experience in going, okay, where can I connect my experience with their perspective, with their current reality?
Okay, all right. The next question I have for you, before we jump into like Lectio Divina, what that means for you, because we know you love it. You already said that. But so what are the things you do to prepare for jumping into a Lectio?
Yeah, I you know, one of the suggestions that Father Abe had was to use Sunday scripture, use the readings from Sunday, so we can connect better with the readings from Sunday. And I think that's absolutely a great tool, and I've heard that before. I think one of the things that I make sure to do is I never pick a passage that I feel is going to suit my needs. So like, for example, if I'm worried about money, if I'm worried about love, if I'm worried about stability in my job, I'm not going to find scripture and just say, oh, this one has to do with this. Okay, so I'm going to do a Lectio here. And because it's almost, you're almost like playing God in the sense where you're like, okay, God is telling me, you know, this, and this through this, but I picked it and I'm controlling it and I'm having that. You know, where I like, what I like about having Sunday scripture, really any of the readings throughout the week, is that there's this connectedness. So not only are you studying the scripture a little bit better, but I feel like you are more intimately connected to Mass, where you're like you have formed this deeper connection into the process of the Holy Sacrifice, where you're like really entrenched in the words, and you know that after those readings are said and the homily is given, that the sacrifice is getting ready to begin, and you're just like all in on that. So I find that I found that to be really helpful.
I think oratio might be like my favorite part of Lectio, just because I feel like when you read the scripture then gives you the vocabulary to speak to God. Like that was one of my favorite things that I learned when taking my Old Testament class, was like the prayers here that are in the Old Testament, especially when they're, you know, in Lamentations and Psalms, like it really gives you the vocabulary to speak to God, because these are people's prayers, you know, like they're compiled in a book in the Bible, but they're people's prayers, you know, they're giving you the language that you need maybe at a certain time in your life to really have that moment. So I think that's a really beautiful part of Lectio.
I want to shout out all of our young people, and I'll tell you why. Young people, young adults in particular, are leading. This is a generation that is leading us through a whole new world. They are telling everybody that we have a voice, and I support you as another young adult. I support you as a Catholic. I support you as an immigrant. I support you as a male Latino, like, or, you know, whatever you would consider Brazilians, you know. I support all of that. And again, never lose your voice. Don't be silenced. Do what you can, but always do so with Christian charity and understanding that there's a lot more that comes from this. Shout out. Thank you guys again for watching. It's been really fantastic feedback we've been receiving. If you guys feel like being awesome, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up our video, click the notification so you guys hear whenever our videos come up. And next week, we have a pretty big week. We're going to be speaking on a pretty big topic, so we hope that you guys tune in next week. My name is G. That's Victoria Weekly. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye, everyone.